Hey guys, BrettFX here, and we have some Battlefield 1. I'm just joking, guys. We're done with Battlefield 1. This is going to be some Battlefield 5 gameplay. We're going to talk a little bit about the HUD icons, the main menus, UI, that kind of stuff. But first of all, I would like to thank EA. They did provide me with the code initially in order to get into the alpha, so props to them. I am a part of the Game Changer program, so definitely some good stuff from them. So first of all, let's just get right into the first part, the main menu. So in my opinion, the main menu is basically a copy paste of what Battlefield 1 had. Not a whole lot of changes being done there. You have the big square panels to go select what you want to do. My biggest criticism that we had from the alpha, and I think this was definitely intentional, was the fact that they didn't have a very visible server browser button. But I think that was intentional. They wanted to test the matchmaking portion of it, and they know that a lot of people on PC, a lot of people like myself who are going to be veterans of the game, would go straight towards the server browser as opposed to using the matchmaking system. So I'm kind of hoping that that's not the case there for the new game, when it launches anyways, but we'll see. Next is the info panels. So for the main menu, as I said before, the info panels are basically the same thing, but I hope that they actually utilize them because there's some really cool stuff that I think they could do with them that I think they missed out on in Battlefield 1. I feel like there's a lot of information that they could be disseminating throughout the community, not just YouTubers or updates, but other things that are going on within the community itself. So charity events, of course, the streamers and YouTubers, but also competitive events. And yeah, I know a couple of you guys are probably snickering about this that may have accidentally landed on this video going, competitive? Are you serious? Yeah, I am. I'm serious. There's going to be a competitive element in Battlefield 5. We don't know the extent of it yet, but there is going to be something there for it. And I hope that they use it. I hope that we don't run into a situation like we did with ESL back in the day for Battlefield 4, where they end up posting the link for the actual stream the day after the tournament ends. Yes, that happened. It actually happened twice. Anywho's, so I hope that we see some changes to the menus and the menus themselves being utilized a lot more. Other than that, not a whole lot. I mean, it's the main menu. It is what it is. Next, we're going to talk about the on-screen UI HUD elements in game. What you're actually going to be seeing while you're playing and how you interact with it in that sense. So first of all, just in my opinion, it's the BF1 HUD. I mean, it's the same exact layout. You have the ammo counter and all your gadgets over in the right-hand side, bottom right-hand side. Same thing. Of course, chat box top left. Now, they did change the chat box just a little bit. So it's outlined a little bit differently, obviously, but also you can actually chat to your party members, to your not squad members, party members, while you are not in their game yet. So I actually did this with Snowblind. I joined his party, and I was chatting with him while I was waiting for his game to end, so we could get started into one ourselves. And he's like, "Dude, how are you talking to me? Like, you're not even in the server." So that was actually pretty cool. I like that. I think if they could add that element into like what we had at Battlelog for everybody, whether you're joining a party or not, that would be really, really sweet. And then, of course, have it as an option to turn on and off, because I would imagine there's going to be quite a few people that would spam that and pretty much abuse it. But yeah, minimap in the bottom left-hand corner is square again, which I do like that. I know that seems like a very stupid change, but for whatever reason, the square minimap just didn't do it for me. Or I'm sorry, the circle minimap just didn't do it for me in Battlefield 1. So I like the fact that it's back to a square, rectangular, whatever you want to call it. The spotting system has been replaced with a ping system. I think it's a good change. I think that this is something I've already been getting used to it because I've been playing incursions mainly for the last 6 months. So in incursions, there is no spotting like there is in classic Battlefield games for like last 4 games. It is all ping based. Now there is a passive spotting element to it, but for the most part, when you hit Q, all it's going to do is put a little dot or it's a little arrow that points down in a certain area. Now there is some inherently bad parts to this. Like there are some cases where it gets stuck like right in front of you, like there's a tree limb right in front of you that you didn't really notice, and it pings the tree right in front of you. Or sometimes it's a hill, and it gets the bottom part of the hill instead of like or the top part of the first little hill in front of it instead of the back hill that you're trying to get. Some stuff like that, but that's something that I think players will get used to. I think overall it's a better change. I feel like this is going to bring back an element to the game where you actually have to start looking for the players in the fights as opposed to just scanning for those red dots and then going and running towards them. So much needed change in my opinion. Passive spotting is back, like I said before. It is a bit strong, and I don't know if that's going to be the way it stays. I hope it's not. There were many times where I just kind of swept, and you may actually see it in the gameplay, where I was just sweeping around, and I would see a little icon pop up, and it's like, boom, okay, there's the guy. Now, obviously, if he went around cover or something, it would go away, but it's incredibly strong to just be able to sweep the map and to just see a blip on your screen real quick and go, okay, he's over that way. So I'd rather it be maybe something where I have to maybe have my ADS on the guy for a little bit. Maybe I have to see him for a certain amount of time before it pops up. And then the other thing that was really sucky about it was that you can pass a spot through smoke. Now, it wasn't consistent that I could tell, but you could do it through smoke. There was several times where I threw smokes down, and basically they couldn't see me, but I was just like kind of raking my gun through it, and I was able to pick them up and shoot them out of it because of that. So I kind of hope that gets fixed. You know, that's always been a problem actually since Battlefield 3, I believe. We've had issues with spotting in smoke, and it's never really been fully fixed. So I hope that they do get this changed really quickly, because as I said, you know, as a competitive oriented player, that's going to make a big difference. I do think that the icons need to be bolder for down players and squad mates. I don't know if it was just the snow map itself, but the the very pale baby blue icons just were not doing it for me. You know, I think that they need to make the icons a lot bolder. Either that or allow me to change them to a certain color. You know, I'm actually going to get into it a little bit later in this video. Choice is going to be a big thing, and I think they need to have more of it out there. You know, we can already choose our crosshair colors. We can already choose our colors for when we get headshots or when we get kills for our little tick marks. So why not just expand that to some of the other icons? You know, I don't think that it's going to have a negative impact on gameplay. If anything, it's going to make it easier on players because they're going to be able to see the much needed information a lot easier. This is a big one. So this is something that YouTubers have stated since EA Play, and you know, I agreed with them then. I doubled down, agree with them now because I've actually had my hands on the game and played it. But let us turn off all notifications that do not directly deal with shooting and killing the other team. An example of this, the big V that pops up for victory or whatever it's supposed to be. That is the most... It's very frustrating when it pops up because it is very blinding. It is very in your eyes. It's distracting. It's not a good thing to have. And then the last thing is the last man in squads. Like, this is the most obnoxious thing to have in your face when you're sitting there playing and you're trying to clear out this flag, right? And you're in this really heated battle, and all of a sudden, boom, this white icon that says, you are the last man in squad. It's like, yeah, I don't care right now. I don't care. Get it away from my screen. Maybe if they have an audio cue, maybe if they have it somewhere else on the screen, like next to your health bar or something, yeah, that's great. But not right there in front of my screen where I need to look at where I'm going, what I'm doing. So would love to see that go away or changed. It needs to, or at the very least have an option to turn it off. You know, as I said before, I'm gonna be stressing the option to turn things on and off in the UI elements, the HUD elements. So let's get that. The next thing is going to kind of fall in line with this, but I've wanted this since Battlefield 1. Let me turn off all of the little points that pop up on the screen. Let me turn those off unless they have to do with a kill notification, assist notification, or squad wipe notification. I don't need the skulls. I don't need the points. I don't want to know if I shot a guy that I did 12 damage to him. That to me doesn't matter because I'm not looking at that when I'm in a firefight. I'm looking at him. I'm looking at what his next move is going to be, what my next move is going to be, where I'm going to be positioning myself. I'm not looking going, oh, he's down to 36 damage. Okay, let's go ahead and shoot him a couple more times. I don't care. let me turn those points off. Same thing with the assists, same thing with the squad wipe numbers. All I want to see is the actual notification telling me who I killed, what did I get an assist, and is it a squad wipe. That's it. That's all I need. You give me those things and it'll be perfect. Similar to what we had in BC2. If you remember in BC2, it was very stripped down. You had just the kills, the assist, and then the actual, well, that was it. It was just kill and assist. You didn't have a squad wipe back then. That's what I kind of would like to see coming back again. Now going into more of the HUD that you're going to be seeing around you. So I kind of would like to see, because ammo is so scarce and it is such a big part of the game, I would really like to see them make a some sort of like a flashy light, or maybe have the outline of it turn red when you get down into your reserve ammo to about 15 rounds. So not the ammo that you have in your magazine, but like your reserve ammo. So the ammo that you have outside of that magazine that's in your gun right then and there. Once it gets down to around 15 or 10 rounds, I think that if it was flashing red, or if it had some sort of a notification around it, visual notification telling you, hey, you're getting really low on ammo, you really need to think about getting some ammo before you make this big push on this flag, that would be a big deal. Because I noticed in my experience that, you know, I would make these really big pushes, like for instance, from C to A, I would be making that push, or from A to C, and you're making it across this really wide gap, and there's no ammo out there, and there's hardly any cover. So I would be fighting my way across it, and then I'd get right to the edge of the flag, and then I'd be out of ammo. It's like, oh, shit. And I realized that, you know, with time, people are going to be learning to stock up before they push, or they're going to be having support kits around them. But it would be nice if we just kind of had that visual element down there to just let us know, hey, before you go over to that flag, buddy, grab some ammo. Just stock up. Top that bad boy off. You'll be good. You'll thank me later. Allow players to change the color of ammo and health depot icons to another color so that they can stand out more. And I also know that people are going to learn where these depots are at as the game progresses. This is just going to be a natural order of things. You know, people are learning the maps, they're learning where to go, they're learning where things are. But for me, I think that it would be better just in the chaos of things, because battlefield maps do change. You have buildings crumbling down, you have debris coming in, you have tank wreckages in certain areas, planes down in areas, just all kinds of really crazy stuff. And a lot of these buildings look the same. You know, a lot of these areas look the same. And when it's that hectic, you may have played the map for a year, okay? But still, when things are that hectic and you're just trying to get that ammo or health as fast as possible because there's about to be an attack coming in, or you're in the middle of an attack or whatever, it would be nice to be able to have that icon above those depots, maybe be like a red or a yellow, or, you know, allow me to change it to something to where I know, you know, to look at something that's not supposed to be in the map, like a bright green, and go, ooh, there's my depot, and be able to get to it. So, and again, this would be something that would be a player choice. I would be able to turn it off, turn it on, change the colors to whatever it may be. All about player choice. Next thing would be, so this is I don't know how people would think about this, but to me, in the downstate in the past for Battlefield games, it's always been either like a grayed out situation to where it was all the colors kind of went into this bleed effect, and you really couldn't see anything while you were in that bleed out mode, or you were sent to a different screen, like you were watching something else, waiting for somebody to come and revive you or something. Right now, because you can turn 360 degrees, and because it is in full color, there is no bleed on the colors, like no white and black effect. I think it's too easy to spot people out. I feel like I was able to give a lot of information to my squad mates that I shouldn't have been able to give because I was dead or downed. I feel like that's just not fair. Unless you can actually kill the down player, like take him out for good, you should not be able to give that much information in a down state. So I think that they need to tone back, maybe looking around in a 360 degree, or maybe have it to where you can only, like, the colors are maybe blended in such a way to where it's not so obvious as to where players are at. Like, you have to really look at it, or maybe just bleed out all of the name tags for everybody. Like, teammates and foes. So you can't tell which one is really your teammate unless you can really see the uniform or whatever it is on them. That in my opinion would be better. Leave the icons down in the bottom left where it shows where your medic is at, and your squad mates are, how close they are. That's fine, but like the rest of the overhead name tags and stuff on players, that needs to go because there's just way too much information that can be said there. So the next thing is, and I highly doubt this would ever be changed or tweaked, but the gun model I think needs to be reduced in size on just about every gun. So apparently, for Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, I was told by a developer once, it was a bug that when you change your FOV to a greater FOV, your gun model would actually get smaller. Now, I like that. I like having as much real estate on the screen as possible in order to see what I'm doing. In Battlefield 1, they supposedly fixed that. I absolutely hated it. It took up way too much screen real estate, and it's just a nuisance. And then you run into the issue of guns like what you do with the Bren or the Madison in Battlefield 1, where you have this obnoxious magazine on top of your gun, and it takes up so much when you're ADSing. And even when you're not ADS, it still takes up a lot of the screen. So I really like to see that kind of toned down a bit. I'd like to see the models smaller. Highly doubt that's going to happen, but it would be kind of a nice thing to have. The squad actions and streaks icon. So this is something, if you guys have not been a squad leader in the alpha and you played it, or you hadn't seen any video of it, I highly recommend that you go see it. You might actually have seen it in some of the video that I have here, because I was a squad leader for a couple of my recordings. But it's not that noticeable. Even when I started like thinking, okay, do I have enough points for this? I still would miss it a lot. Like I would get 2,000 and 3,000 points over what it was to get the V2 or the JB rocket, and still would not notice it until somebody said something in my ear, or I just happened to look down and go, oh, I got points for it. So I think if they would take the icon that says, hold C in order to use it, if they would move that down on the bottom right hand side to where the ammo counter is, because you check your ammo counter a lot in this game, okay? You are going to check it a lot. I think if they moved it down there, it'd be a lot better. You'd be able to see it. Obviously, if it was flashing, it'd get your attention a little bit easier, I think. Over on the left-hand side, it blends in too well with the squad list, with the way it is right now. So even when I was looking at the mini-map, my eyes just glazed right over that, because it was just, I see a white squad member name list, and then that was it. Like, I didn't see the squad action that was right next to it. So I think that would be a pretty good move for it. Then the last thing on the UI HUD element would be the squad selection for the streaks and for the actions. I think that it needs to be changed. Right now, you hold C and then you move your mouse up or down and then let off C in order to have that action. There's some issues right now because you don't know if you can actually use the rocket or not. You can always call in a tank, I believe, but the rockets themselves, you can only have one out at a time, and there's a little bit of a time in between rockets, so you just can't spam them. But it's not really that clear. So there's a lot of times where I would move my mouse up to it, let off, and then nothing would happen. And I think it would be better if they had like a button, because there were several times where I accidentally selected the tank instead of the rocket, and I was like, ah, shit, that's 2,000 points wasted, and now we gotta work up to that rocket again. So I think if we had it to where it was a QE type situation, to where maybe you hit C, it'd bring up the micro menu or whatever, and then you hit Q or E in order to select whichever one that you had, maybe in a preset slot. That would be pretty cool. All right, so moving on to our last and final thing, and I know this is a long video, guys, and I do apologize. I hope I have enough footage for this. I think we're racking on 20 minutes, but if you stuck around until this, you are the real winner. You are the champions, okay? I appreciate it. So last one is going to be spawn screen and spawning in. So this is pretty much just like Battlefield 1. You swoop down from the top, you go into it. The biggest difference is that when you bleed out and you go into your spawn screen, you go to a squad spawn screen as opposed to the overall tabletop mode. I don't like this. Right now, the way the spawn screen is set up is that there's a very little information. Like, it was really funny because the way they were describing it at EA Play was like, you're going to have so much information and you'll be able to spawn in on your player or your squad mate and not get knifed and not get shot because you'll know exactly what's happening. It's going to be amazing. That's not the case. So the third-person camera is way too close to your squad mate. Very hard to see if there's anybody behind him or coming up behind him or whatever it may be. And there's no mini-map to let you know where that squad mate is at. You might be spawning on him and think that you're going to be spawning in at C, and because that's where the fight was at and that's where you just died. But he's actually all the way back at Echo, sitting in a building that looks just like it does over on C. So there's no real way to tell where he is at on the map. So I would like to see on the spawn screen maybe a mini-map added for the squad list. I think that would be a lot better option. In that instance, it would make that screen a lot more useful. I would certainly use it a lot more if that was the case. And then the next thing would be, and this is going back on my player choice deal, allow me to set the default of, do I go to the spawn screen for tabletop first, or do I go to the squad screen for after my death? Let me choose which one I go to. And certainly allow me to go into the squad third-person camera after I go to tabletop. Like, I don't understand why I can't go into the squad third person, or at the very least, I didn't see an option to do that once I was in that tabletop. Maybe there was a button and I just didn't see it. But I would like to see maybe being able to flip back and forth between those two screens. I do agree with the fact that when you're in the squad screen, you shouldn't necessarily be able to do everything. So, you know, changing your weapons or, you know, that type of stuff. I agree with going into tabletop for that. But I think that you can utilize that squad spawn screen a lot better than what it is right now. And I would like the option to be able to go to either one as a default after you bleed out. Another thing that I would like to be seeing added would be a number of players at the tabletop screen to show you how many of each class are currently being played. So when I was playing the alpha, I think a lot more people were trying to play useful roles than what others were making it out to be. I saw a lot of people complaining, oh my god, nobody's medding, nobody's support, nobody's this, they're all assaults or they're snipers. That wasn't the case in my experience. Most of the time, I did see a lot of medics and a lot of supports. It just seemed like, for instance, in one of my squads, it was all medics. It's like, okay, like, we need something else other than medics. Or it would be like 3 supports and 1 assault. You know, I realize that we're testing stuff as well, but I mean, I gotta say, when it's 5 days into the alpha, you think most of that testing on guns has been done, and people are trying to play a little bit more in depth of the mechanics and the team play aspect of it. So I feel like maybe if there was a way for us to see, hey, there are 10 supports out there, 1 of them is in my squad, I don't need to spawn in as a support kit. You know, I can spawn in as a medic because we need medics right now, or I can spawn in as an assault because we need AT right now. Same thing with the sniper. So I think that would be kind of cool if we could see the numbers of how many players are playing in what kits, what roles. And then the last one is going to be highlights on flags for when they have vehicle spawns and when they own them. So I think that, and this is something that I kind of touched on previously with depots of them being a secondary objective. So I feel like if we had vehicles on these particular flags highlighted, like, you know, that's going to be a tank spawn, and then have that be a central fighting location for that particular flag, that would be really key, because right now you're just going and grabbing flags and going to the next one. There's no reason why you want to get a specific flag, and there needs to be, and there had been in the past. There were in past Battlefields, Battlefield 4 and previous, there was a reason to go towards a specific flag. It may be a tank spawn, it may be a helicopter spawn, it might give you an LAV, so on and so forth. So there were specific reasons to go to that flag, other than you need the majority of the flags to win the game. It gave you a 1-up because you had a vehicle. And I think if they highlighted that, it would be a lot better. Obviously, it's harder to highlight that because the vehicle doesn't actually spawn on the flag. So it's not like, you know, you spawn in on it and you can jump in the vehicle as quickly as possible. Maybe if they had like a terminal or something that was around the flag where you would run up to it, select it, and then it would give you the menu to actually go into a vehicle, that would be better, because it would give that reward to the team who ended up going maybe flanked all the way around and was able to capture this flag out from behind a team. It would give them the opportunity to spawn into a tank right then, right there, by going to this terminal and getting into this vehicle and going to it. And I think if they kind of, I went off a little bit topic here because I was talking about HUD elements, but you get what I'm kind of saying there. So anyways, guys, this has been way too long of a video. We're working on 25 minutes. I do appreciate you for watching. I hope I have enough footage for this. If not, you might see some things repeated. But I hope that you guys can give some good feedback to the guys over on the forums. Make sure you comment down below. Let me know what you guys think, you know, if you like this. And if you guys did stick around for the entire video, again, you are the champs. Thumbs up, internet cookies for you, high fives and hugs all around. Take it easy, guys. I've been Brett FX. We'll see you in the next video.